Yeah, I mean, I think for us, it's it's a little bit of a blank canvas with new players and a new season and two new competitions out in addition to the MLS. For me, I think it's just about, I would say, elevating some of the things that we do really well, do it on a more consistent basis, and then knowing that we're going to play in a couple different competitions. I think for our team, it's making sure that we are connected together and we have the mentality that we're going to show up as our best version of ourselves in the most important times, whether it's early in the season or big games or towards the end of the season. We just want to make sure that we're showing up as our best version.
BJ, when it comes to Maxwell Wozelinski, bringing him in as the other center back pairing with a Jason Palacios, it seems like obviously moving off of Walker, it's that bigger, faster, stronger mentality. He played that three at the back over in that Norwegian Premier League. Where do you see his, I guess, identity fitting in when it comes to possibly spreading the ball out more on the left flank rather than the right with Andy Nahar?
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, there's going to be great competition at the center back. You have Jack Mayer still, you have obviously Jason, you have Maxwell coming in, you have Thomas Williams, who we brought in, and we still have Chris Applewhite and Josh Bauer. So I think this preseason is going to be really fun because that's a position that I think has a lot of competition at it. When you look across those profiles of those players, I think there's, like you said, there's opportunity to play and build in 4, and there's opportunity to build and play in 3. And so I think as we kind of, sort of listen and see what the team signals to us throughout this preseason, that'll be something that we're going to look at and try to utilize with the different type of profiles, and not only so much individual profiles, but then what do these partnerships look like. But at the same time, the commitment that we're going to make defensively is that we still want to be aggressive, we still want to play a high line, we still need defenders that can cover the space behind. And so that doesn't change. And then specifically to Maxwell, I think he has a lot of those, qualities to come in and be, kind of come in and compete at that position.
All right. BJ, first of all, how do you like Costa Rica?
Costa Rica was excellent. It was a great family vacation, and I think it was 2 years since we had been on a family vacation, so it was great.
Well, I mean, when I found out you were over there, people started asking me, well, I wonder if BJ has something that he needs to see there, somebody needs to see there to bring him up, and then all of a sudden, Warren Madrigal comes into play. I'm not sure it had anything to do with that, but how did you end up, going to turn your side to a player from Costa Rica to bring him in?
Yeah, it's a great question. So Warren was a player that I sort of had known even from my time when I was with the national team, and we would be doing some deep dives in our own opponent analysis of those countries, and Costa Rica was a team that we had played a bunch, not only in, I would say, competitive formats, World Cup qualifying and Nations League, but also even in friendly matches through over almost like a 5-year period of time, and we knew that they had a lot of young players coming up through in a time where I think Costa Rica's national team was transitioning, from some really high level older players and a young group coming in. So he was a player that we've always maybe had an eye on, and then he had quickly moved to Valencia early, and kind of that dies off, and then all of a sudden the cycle of player acquisition kind of comes back. So he's been a player that we've followed for probably, or myself has followed for probably maybe 2 years now. And then when the opportunity came, I thought he was had a skill set that fit sort of what we're looking to build here.
Vijay, last year the team won the Open Cup, and there's like a feeling that in the league this team is getting closer to winning probably the championship. After the elimination, what aspects have you identified that need to be worked during this season?
Yeah, I mean, I think for us it's just building that mentality that we look eye to eye to every team, right? We want to build this elite mentality that no matter who we play, and no matter what competition that we play, that we feel that we can play toe-to-toe and look at them eye to eye, and we belong there. And that's a big part of what we're going to do in this preseason, is building that team mentality. And part of that's not just sort of like the physical side, but just knowing that we're really connected with one another on and off the field, and we're really clear with how we want to play and how we want to approach those games, so that, like I said earlier, the best version of Nashville's team shows up in the biggest moments.
Bob, if you have one.
BJ, what does Cristian bring to this team?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think Cristian's really going to complement, I think, the really talented group that we have here. In the most simple way, if I can bucket it, he embodies I would say really the three things that we look for, which is he's hardworking. He's a guy who trains every day. He's a guy that works without the ball really hard, presses really hard, does everything. He's humble, which is a big thing that we have here. And when I say that, I think he leads by example. He's first and foremost someone who wants to see his teammates shine. He plays a way that wants to set his teammates up. And so for me, that's a huge piece to a new player that we bring in. And then he's hungry. He wants to win. He wants to win things in his career. He's already been an MLS All-Star. He's already been to the playoffs, which is great. And some of these things are individual accolades. But I think all of us in our careers get to a point where you're hungry for the ultimate trophy. And he is that. And I think that's another piece that we have already in this club, what we already have in this team. And he's only going to come in and complement that even more.
Wes?
Mike has joked before that his job is to give you problems on match day in a good way. Tough selections because you have so many options. How many problems do you feel like he gave you this offseason in a good way? and can you more seriously describe how that relationship with him has evolved as you get to know each other's process and style and have a couple full off seasons now to do that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think when Mike and I meet, and it's Mike, and listen, I think there's I know that we sort of maybe get the most attention, but there's a whole team behind it. It starts with the ambition and the leadership of John Ingram, our owner, to give us that trust and resources to go do our jobs. And then Mike has a whole team behind him, and I have a whole team behind me. So I think that's first and foremost we need to make clear. And also that it's a really collaborative process, that how we work here. And we set out with a mission in the off season to sort of elevate and evolve this group. And of course, some of the Maxwell and Cristian are some maybe more of the more forward-facing signings that we've made. But I don't think it's I think when we talk about elevating and evolve, you have Isaiah LaFleur and Thomas Williams coming in, and younger players kind of coming in, which we've said we wanted to do from even last year. And at the end, my goal and what I challenge Mike to do is to help build the most competitive roster possible. And so now when we introduce more attacking talent and we introduce more defending talent, it's only going to make the group more competitive. And when we have a more competitive group, we expect the best versions of each individual player to come out. And at the end of the day, yeah, I have the job to pick that 20 each night, and I look at it as a privilege if them making it a difficult thing, and I want every single player to make the decision as hard as possible.
Jacob?
Yeah, BJ. In Walker Zimmerman leaving, you're losing somebody who was known as a real leader off the field, one of the centerpieces of the club, been here since the foundation in MLS. I guess where do you maybe expect or hope that leadership can come from this year? What do you expect? Who do you expect to maybe take that on?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I think when you look at Walker's legacy here at the club, it's a tremendous leader on the field, off the field, in the community, and I think he did a really great job, and a really great job that predates me. So I mean, he deserves all the credit and everything that's kind of built here. And with that said, I don't think you fill his shoes with one player. I think we're going to see a lot of players step up and fill it in their own unique way. And I think that's what's a beauty about this group, is that it's not just going to be, the voice of one guy. It's going to be a collective leadership group. And different people can lead in different ways, and they can even lead certain aspects of the group. Maybe there's a young guy who steps up and is really connected to the young players. And as we get a more diverse roster, which is something that we're very intentional about building, and we champion that diversity, is you see different guys step up and lead in different ways. And we want to make sure that we create enough space in the locker room and in the environment for voices to stand up and lead in their own way. But at the end of the day, you don't replace the leadership and the impact that Walker Zimmerman made at this club with one person.
Julian?
As you get ready for preseason training here, does the way you manage players' fitness change, whether it be now or throughout the regular season, knowing you guys are going to have a significant break this summer with the World Cup?
Yes, it's a great question, and it's a little bit of like uncharted territory. So this isn't something normal that happens in any of our seasons in the history of our seasons. So it's going to be, it's something that we're very mindful of. It's something that we've been preparing a lot for the off-season, and we will manage the players individually and collectively in what we think is sort of the I would say the best practice way. In addition, you're adding obviously a tournament that happens inside the front part of this year as well. But for us, it's really about being focused on, I would say, almost this today, January 10th, 11th to that May 23rd period, maximizing everything that we can do, and then sort of take inventory at this what will be a long World Cup break.
Janine?
When you look at this roster, what excites you the most about it as the head coach?
So I think for me, each season's sort of its own season. Each team takes on its own personality. And for us, like I kind of approach this, I tell the guys, it's like, it's a new year, so we kind of approach it with a beginner's mindset. But what excites us the most is that the commitment of our club and the commitment that we make as players to the team, to the fans and to the city, is that we are going to attack everything. And I think that when you look at this roster, whether it's with the defenders that are going to attack the opponent when they have the ball, or it's our attackers that are going to attack the opponent when they don't have the ball, that's what makes me excited. I think by the end when we get back here and we open up in Geodis, it's going to be an exciting team. It's going to be an exciting team that's on the field, and it's going to be that same exact commitment that we've made from day one, which is to get after it, and that's what we're looking forward to doing.
Gentry, then Corey.
Yeah. BJ, looking at last season, the form being as good as it was for months, where do you feel like things turn? Do you learn from that? And is there a trick to peaking at the end of the year like this league asks you to do with a playoff structure?
Yeah, I think for us it's just about learning lessons from last year. But again, we don't believe when we start this season that we're entitled to start any further ahead. And kind of we have to start from this blank canvas. And for us, it's just about, working together, creating it's going to be a new locker room, a new set of players, and it's just about creating these connections. And again, trying to make sure that we have consistency in the way that we play, consistency in the way that we prepare, with the mindset and the mentality that we want to show up as our best version of Nashville Soccer Club in the biggest moments of the year.
With Joe coming back, how much of a safety blanket is he, and how do you plan to handle the goal situation in camp?
Yeah, I mean, we're excited to have Joe back. I think, last year he showed how valuable he was. That's as I said to all the goalkeepers, it's just like we talked earlier about the center back position, it's an open competition for all of them to take the starting role. And then, they realize, and this is every professional player knows, that the position is, gets awarded on that first night, but we're always competing. So, Joe's a pro. Joe's been in every, I think, role that you could have as in a goalkeeper, whether that's a starter, a backup, out on loan, in his long and great career. And so for us, I know that he's gonna again make my job very difficult, and I welcome that because we want to make sure that we have the best team possible this year.
Valera, then Ben.
BJ, I know you don't like formation talk, so just bear with me a little bit, but last year it seemed like any time you veered away from the 4-4-2, let's just say, it didn't work as well. So coming into this season, are you a little hesitant to change the shape too much, or is this kind of a new season, let's try out different things and see what happens?
I would say it's a little bit of a combination of both. I think for us, we don't think about shape as our first and foremost thought. I think what we talk about is our style and our principles, first and foremost. That drives what I would say our mentality and our behaviors on the field, and then obviously then you put the structure in, and then that does become important. One of our early objectives is going to be is, can we be more adaptable? And I wouldn't box that into even adaptable game to game, but can it be maybe adaptable from phase to phase, right? So if we're building up closer to our goal, can we be in a certain structure And then if we move closer to scoring and goals, can the structure behind the ball or how we're doing it be in a different way? So I think for us as a team, if we want to, again, evolve and elevate the things that we've already done well, it's, can we become a little bit more adaptable in different phases of play?
Go ahead.
I had a similar question, but just kind of looking back at 2025, what parts of the game model are you kind of specifically focusing on in preseason, and how much do you think Cristian either comes in and adds to that or kind of requires tweaks to get the best out of him and the rest of the attack?
Yeah, specific to Cristian, I think it's going to be just learning, kind of working with him. Obviously, we've spoken with him, we've watched a ton of video, you watch a ton of games, but until you really work with the player and find out how he's going to fit in. And the way I look at it is my job's to set every player up to be their best version of themselves, and not only individually but from a partnership standpoint. When you talk about specific phases of play, I think there's opportunities. Can we incorporate the goalkeeper more in building up or in higher areas of the building up? Can we maybe look at having more numbers and more aggressive posture when we're trying to score goals? And then within that, there's always a counter component to it. I would like to see us be a more aggressive team, winning the ball right after we lose it, and I would like to see us be a team that is brave to really, the players that are behind the ball, be aggressive and get up as high as we can up the field. So again, those are some of the initial ideas that I think we can work to look to evolve. But like I said, it's a brand new team. It's going to take on its own personality, and I really don't want to go into tomorrow's first training session with any real presumptions about anything, and just kind of see what the team needs and see what the team signals, and I think that will create sort of endless possibilities for us without boxing us in with sort of already predetermined expectations.
We'll go to Corey, then we'll have time for one or two more if you guys got them. Go, Corey.
We all know Sam and Honey can score. With the addition of Cristian, how much do you think that helps build the secondary scoring, not just with himself, but with the other 7 guys on the field?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you look at that next group of players, right, you have Sam and Hani, and they had great seasons, but you look at guys like Cristian and Johnny and Ahmed and Alex Mule. I think these are guys that need to, contribute in the scoring, or let me call it more goal contributions, whether it's goals, assists, secondary assists. But yeah, I think that their profiles are ones that can do that, and they can do it in different ways, whether that's in combination, whether that's going one versus one, making final passes. So for us, it's about how do we get as many players as possible making goal contributions, because again, it goes back to, we talk about our style. Our style is that we want to attack everything. We want to attack everything, every possible situation. So we need as many guys in that mindset as possible.
BJ, probably the other situation similar to Joe's is Brian Costa, which he was pretty much off the team already in the offseason, and all of a sudden he gets resigned. What can you tell us about how that happened and what you expected from in this new season?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think the MLS sets certain rule guidelines that you may interpret things like Brian was off the team or whatever, but I think it's a little bit more gray than that. Brian's a player who I thought really grew into sort of a role this year for us, and we expect him to take on an even bigger role. And I think what he's shown is that he has as he kind of got more comfortable with us, he was able to show that he can kind of play, whether it's as a more holding type of midfielder or even more as a little bit more advanced as like a box-to-box midfielder. And so I think for him, he gives us a lot of versatility in that midfield as we talk about adapting shapes, whether it's 2 center midfielders or 3 center midfielders. I think he has that versatility to then give us a lot of flexibility.
Now, if the Eagles get beat today, we're not expecting the guys to draw harder tomorrow because you're upset.
Luckily for them, Monday's training is already planned and set, and so part of it will remain consistent, but I'm not going to guarantee that I won't be salty.
We'll go to Will with the last question, guys.
BJ, with the attacking players that you have and with the success that you all have had, maybe the idea of teams setting up a bit more deeply, especially here at Geodis Park, and just that challenge of playing against low blocks. You all have more reinforcements, but maybe the respect that you all have earned also means teams are going to play you in a different way. How much have you all focused on that? And as you look at the evolution of this team, being the type of team that can break down low blocks and be able to still get results in those kinds of games?
Yeah, this definitely is part of our off-season analysis. That's one part that we looked at was, areas that we need to, or let me call it phases of play that we need to improve upon versus what the opponents are doing. That was definitely one that we looked at. And then I think that would reference what I kind of said earlier is, and then maybe we need to be adaptable in game with our setup or shape. How do you call it, Valer? The shape of the team, the formation of the team. Maybe we have to be adaptable to that and be able to in game change that structure to give us, to be able to exploit an opponent that may be in low block. Or conversely, it could be if somebody's really high pressing you and it's man-to-man and those type of things. So I think for us, it's, again, all under the idea of like how are we evolving and elevating what we already do. But I can assure you that our commitment to the city and our commitment to the club is that it's going to be the same mentality, right? The style of how we go about and do it and the principles of how we execute it will always remain the same.